Tip-off. The third ever meeting between Syracuse and Yale, the first in the Dome, and it's underway. The Orange start with things and quickly ahead to Burroughs. That's Syracuse ball, they'll keep possession. The Orange moving up tempo to start this game. Burroughs ends up with it. Down low, Scott on the offensive glass, couldn't clean it up. A rebound pulled in by Chapman. Another start for Marissa Chapman, the 5 on the floor. Avery Lee, Sanaya Moore, Kylie Capstraw, Marissa Chapman, and Mackenzie Egger. Notable, though, that Grace Thibault not out there today for Yale, Adam.
You said this a moment ago, but that's really going to hurt this team on the glass. Much less size today for Yale.
Syracuse ends up with the board, and Woolley in transition picks up the foul. Sanaya Moore. The Orange today rolling with a different starting 5 as well. Sophie Burroughs, Georgia Woolley, and Kyra Wood, the usuals, but Angelica Velez getting her second start of the season, and Kira Scott, her first of her collegiate career.
I'm really excited to see what the freshman Kira Scott can do today. I've been really impressed with her all year. She's very athletic, and she's got a big size advantage down low today with Sanaya Moore guarding her.
Velez goes to work. Wood on the low block in the first bucket of the day for the Orange.
That's very promising from Velez running the point. That's been a really revolving door for Syracuse this season. 3 different players have started at point guard, with Dom Camp also getting a couple starts, as well as Olivia Schmidt.
Schmidt, the starter in the last 2 games. Coach Jack opting for Velez today. It's Kylie Capstraw. Egger, the team's leading scorer through the lane, and she evens it up.
It's a good job by Egger using her speed to her advantage. That's where she can get past Kyra Wood, draw her out, and then drive in.
Woolley at the top of the key. Egger averaging a 17-point double-double this season. That pass astray, didn't touch anybody, and so that's Yale ball.
A little bit too ambitious from Georgia Woolley, but I like this idea of trying to feed the inside because there is such a massive size advantage with Kira Scott down low and Kyra Wood.
Egger being relied on as the big today for the Bulldogs at just 6 feet tall. No Varejao in the starting lineup, though, for Syracuse, so not taking advantage early. Avery Lee from downtown, and it rims out.
Doesn't surprise me to not see Varejao, though, because we've already seen Egger use her size to get past her defender. That's where, or sorry, her speed to get past her defender. That's where Varejao could struggle sometimes. So I think that's why they've gone with Kyra Wood in the starting lineup to try and guard Egger.
Velez through the lane, loses the handle, and it's a turnover. So Angelica Velez gets an assist, the first of the game, and then a turnover. 3 turnovers for Syracuse already. Velez has been the main culprit for the Orange all season, now her 15th to go with 15 assists. So an even split. Lee down low to Egger. And a tough defense from Wood. Chapman with the lane. Egger, the mid-range, no good. Capstraw the board, and it rolls in. First bucket of the day for Kylie Capstraw. She had 8 points against Syracuse back in 2022, one of the more veteran members of this team. Woolley to answer. Rebound pulled in and out of bounds. Last touch by Chapman as she rolled to the floor.
Good hustle on the offensive glass, though, there from Sophie Burroughs. She forced that out of bounds, just flying in. That's the aggression that Felicia Leggett-Jack is really looking for with this team, and what she hasn't necessarily seen so far this season.
Coach Jack talked a lot about disrespecting defense earlier in the year. It's been a lot of defensive and toughness claims from the head coach so far.
Shocking, because that's usually the trademark of a Felicia Leggett-Jack team.
That's what she mentioned. That's what she's known for. Burroughs the scoop layup, no good. Capstraw cleaning up the glass again. Lee, the senior, and a foul called as Egger collapsed to the ground. That's on Velez, and a tough start for the sophomore. Shy Hawkins, the first substitution of the day for the Orange. She checks out Burroughs. Dominique Camp in as well, seeing action. Camp has been the starting point guard for most of the season, and now with Velez coming out, Camp back in the ball game.
This is really early for Shy Hawkins to come in, though. Usually we really saw her in mop-up duty through the first 7 games, but now she's in a pretty big moment early in the game.
Hawkins averaging 4 points per game. Long three, no good. Scott pushing the break for the Orange. Up to the rim, no good, way wide on that layup. Capstraw back the other way. Avery Lee directing traffic. One of the few members of this Yale team to play against the Orange back in 22. Tipped away, Dominique Camp jumps the passing lane. And the Orange bring in more fresh legs. Journey Thompson checking into the game. Already 3 substitutions for Syracuse, Adam.
Yeah, Felicia Leggett-Jack is going to be very tight with the leash on her players right now. She's been very frustrated throughout this entire season with effort, especially on the defensive end. So if she sees something that she doesn't like, she's going to make a change.
Chapman, way wide. Offensive board, another chance. It's more at the horn. It got off, and another offensive board. Chapman down low. No good again. Woolley got a finger to it. Last touched out of bounds by the Bulldogs. It's Orange ball.
It's just great hustle by Chapman. She's just 5'9", but getting in there, getting the rebounds over a 6-foot Georgia Woolley. That's just hustle.
Both teams not shooting great to start. Yale off to a 2 for 9 clip. Syracuse 1 for 5 with 3 turnovers. Hawkins up top. It's Woolley. Hawkins the wing. Mastic Beach, New York on Long Island. Tipped away from Capstraw. Chapman runs the break. 1-on-1. Can't get it to go off the glass. Gets another offensive board, and it squirts into the hands of Camp. 4-on-3 for the Orange. Camp mid-range. No good. And Capstraw ends up with the rebound. Syracuse continues a tough shooting stretch. Up to 1 for 7.
This has been an ugly first 4 minutes plus of basketball.
4-minute scoring drought for Syracuse. Capstraw in the corner. It's Egger, the leading scorer. Blows by Wood and can't get rim. The offensive board, and Egger cleans it up.
That's where her success is going to be on the offensive end. If she can draw past Kyra Wood, she's already shown she has the speed to get to the rim.
Woolley's response no good, and Yale out-rebounding Syracuse early. Ahead to Moore for the 2-on-2. The mid-range, rims out. Pass ahead to Woolley. Has to wait for her numbers to catch up.
After that last miss, I looked over to Coach Jack. She was laughing. She's just in disbelief right now, I think, of just 2 points in the first 5.5 minutes.
Hawkins through the lane. Nothing going for Syracuse, but finally a foul. Syracuse, a rough shooting start, but Hawkins will have a chance at the line in just a moment. Syracuse down 6-2 on the ACC Network Extra. We welcome you back inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Yale, an early 6-2 lead, 4:30 on the clock. And for Syracuse, it's been the three-point defense that makes or breaks these games. Adam, there really is a magic number for the Orange when they win.
Yeah, when they're below 35%, keeping opponents below 35% from beyond the arc, they're winning. When it's above, they are losing. 54% against Creighton and St. Joe's, almost 40% against UAlbany. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Threes are worth more than twos, and Syracuse's three-point offense just hasn't been enough to keep up with the defense.
It's really hinged on it all season long. Our Ailey Weiss spoke with Coach Jack more about that. Ailey?
She just feels like there's a lack of effort. She says that they need to keep them in front, and they were just giving Creighton a red carpet to the hoop.
Shy Hawkins, her second, finally hits, and Syracuse breaking a 4:45 scoring drought. Ailey, thank you for that. The Orange struggling early on, Adam, from the floor, and especially in the paint, too, rebounding-wise. Yale already with 5 offensive rebounds.
It's shocking because this is a Yale team that's brought out an entirely all-guard lineup to start the game. Tallest player at 6 feet tall. Syracuse has multiple players on the floor above 6 feet. Its guards also around 6 feet. So at that point, you got to think it's what Coach Jack has mentioned all season that's been the downfall, and that's effort.
Chapman through the lane. She leads the team in offensive boards today. 5'9" guard kicks it out of bounds. Last touched by Syracuse, though, so Yale retains possession. It's been lucky bounces so far that have ended up in the hands of the Bulldogs. They haven't taken full advantage either, though. Yale shooting just 3 of 13. Moore's layup blocked. Shy Hawkins on the rejection. Camp had to corral the pass ahead in a jump ball. Arrow in favor of Yale.
There was just no need to send that ball forward. Dom Camp was running ahead, trying to get into the offense, and she looks behind her, and there's a ball bouncing her way. Just got to slow it down, take a deep breath.
The game right now moving a little fast for the Orange. Turnovers aplenty. Already number 5. Outside Lee jacks a 3. Offensive board tipped around into the hands of Varejao.
We mentioned the bad three-point defense a moment ago. The Orange are lucky that Yale is one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country.
Syracuse can't buy a bucket. Thompson missing down low. And another turnover. It's Lee slowing it down. Here's Egger. Started by Varejao, her first minutes. Blows by her and draws the foul. Adam, you were talking about that. Egger, that's where she goes to work, is getting past the big man.
That's what she's going to do this entire game. Draw out the big defender and then try and drive right past her. We saw it with Kyra Wood. Now we see it with Izabel Varejao. That's going to be the recipe for success.
Kenzie Egger at the line to shoot 2. Already 4 points for her on the game. Make that 5. Egger averaging a tinge under 17 with 10 boards per game. Last time out against Bryant, 21 points, 7 rebounds, but fouled out. The Bulldogs ended up dropping that game. Both free throws good from the line. Syracuse now an early 5-point hole. Camp. Down low to Sanaya Wilson, her first touch of the game. Hawkins drives in. Varejao, the ball movement keeps working for Syracuse. The putback rims out again. The Orange still just with 3 points. And there's 3 minutes to go on that first quarter clock.
There's just a lid around that rim. Those are layups, putbacks that Varejao is usually perfect on, but nothing can find the hoop right now.
Egger has found the hoop more times than the Orange with 5 points. Down low, it's Chapman swatted away. Varejao on the rejection. A mean block from the grad student.
That was vicious. You could hear it from here. Varejao says, "Goodbye, basketball." Oh.
Boy, a vicious, vicious block. Yale still keeps possession though. Egger creates some space. Can't hit the jumper. And finally, the Orange grab a board. Over 6.5 minutes with a bucket for Syracuse. Hawkins, a long 2. No good. The struggles continue to mount for Syracuse. 1 of 11 from the floor. Egger cuts through. Easy layup wouldn't go. She had it at the rim.
And those are ones that she usually makes. Syracuse is lucky that Yale only has 8 points right now.
Neither team shooting particularly well. Yale just with that slight advantage now. Here is where the Orange have to go to work. Varejao on the block and an offensive foul call. Mackenzie Egger draws the charge.
That's just textbook from Egger. Hands straight up in the air. She takes the blow to the chest and falls right to the ground. And Varejao, there's really nothing much that she can do about that. She didn't really do anything wrong. Egger was just in the perfect spot defensively to draw that charge.
Yale has built up this lead without making a substitution at first. Now the Bulldogs finally make some changes. Lucy Lynn in for the first time today alongside Kiera Odom, a Syracuse native. The freshman has been a pretty important part to this Bulldogs team. Her family in attendance today.
Got to think this is really special for Odom. She left Syracuse to go to Loomis Chaffee, a boarding school, to try and further her education, and now comes back and gets to play in the Dome.
Great day for her first-generation college student, and she's at Yale. Pretty impressive from Kiera Odom.
Incredible.
The Orange, the 5 on the floor. Woolley, Wood, Wilson, Camp. And Sophie Burrows, who is in that scrum with Odom, jump ball and the arrow in SU's favor. 2 jump balls in the first quarter.
Good hustle there from Burrows. She's had a couple of moments today where she has one possession based on just straight up hustle.
SU trying to turn around what has been a rough first quarter. Camp can't get an angle. Woolley a 3. No good. Jump ball again. And now back Yale's way. Sanaya Wilson getting in the mix with Mackenzie Egger. And an aggressive jump ball. You got to admit, that's effort right there.
Yeah, great effort there. I was a little surprised initially that that wasn't an over the back, but Wilson got her hands on the ball first, which is why it's a jump ball.
Yale still with possession, though, and the Orange have moved to full court press, trying to stop Yale, and the Bulldogs struggling with it. Egger finally gets it up. It's Lynn on the break, and it's good. Yale up to double digits. The Orange still with 3 under a minute to go. They've missed their last 10. Wood down low, and that streak ends. And the crowd, a bit of a maybe sarcastic applause. The Orange break a very, very long drought without a field goal. Odom in a tie-up with Burrows. She strips it. Woolley on the break. 1 on 3. She has the angle and rolls it in. Syracuse finally taking the lid off the basket. And a timeout taken. Dalila Eshe not liking what she's seeing out of this Syracuse run.
This is exactly what the Orange needed. The hustle on defense turns into offense, and Woolley has the speed where she can make it an easy layup all by herself after she blows by the defense. I wouldn't be shocked if Coach Jack continues the full court press, because yes, Yale scored on it last time, but they had a lot of troubles breaking it.
This is a spot that Syracuse has seen themselves in before. Just over a week ago against UAlbany, the Orange fell in what was a pretty devastating loss for Syracuse, a team that they were heavily favored to beat. Now it's the same deal with Yale. This is the Orange's chance to right that wrong. Trying to break that press, Yale does so. Chapman ahead, and Yale will slow for the last shot. Lee, guarded by Camp, takes it to her left. Through the hands of Chapman and out of bounds. So Syracuse with a chance to tie at the end of the quarter. The Orange have to run a play in 4 seconds. Into Camp. 2 on the clock. Down low to Wood. It's in at the horn. Syracuse, a quick 6-point swing. And the Orange right back in this thing.
One thing that you could always rely on was that your team is tough, and everybody knew that. Those wise words came from him after the tough loss to Creighton when she was losing some sleep over that one.
Yeah, it was hard not to. Thank you, Ailey. The foul on Georgia Woolley. The Orange, a chance to take the lead on these 2 shots. Those 9 points that Syracuse put up, tied for the fewest in a quarter they've had all year, with last game against Creighton in that first quarter. So back-to-back slow starts for the Orange.
Yeah, just another rough start, but can't say enough good things about Fran Brown, him supporting the Syracuse women's basketball team, the stuff that he does in this community. I mean, right after he got hired, he was picking up trash in the stands after basketball games. Just such a special, special coach and a special member of this community, and another great coach, because Felicia will get Jack also great in this community.
Class act. Burrows from 3. Nails it. Sophie Burrows, her first bucket of the day. And the Orange in front, 13-10.
And that's big, because Burrows is one of the better 3-point shooters in the ACC, over 50% on the year. To get her going can really get this offense going.
Yale breaking the press again, and Capstrong can't answer, gets the board, still no. Loose ball and a foul after the reach-in from Kylie Capstrong. We talked to Coach Brown, and rather Coach Jack, and what she said about the relationships with other coaches on the Hill, Coach Brown, Coach Autry, and how there's just such a good relationship between everybody. She credited the athletic director, John Wildhack, for helping build those relationships with the coaches that they've had.
Just so many legendary coaches on this campus. Across, you got Gary Gate, Kayla Trainer. There's just a lot of great pieces put together by John Wildhack.
Foul on the floor after Sanaya Wilson got tied up. It'll be charged against Wilson, the senior. Only had 2 minutes against Creighton last time out, so she's played a decent bit more. As you see her get knotted up there.
Here's the full court press again. This time a little bit less pressure, but still just make Yale take more time to bring the ball up. I think that's going to help this defense settle in more.
Lee with the jab step, working on Camp. 8 to shoot. Into the corner. Capstraw. 4 on the clock. Capstraw has to pull. 1 second left. Step back. No good. Offensive rebound. Another one for Chapman. Lee on the drive. Gets it and one. Avery Lee through the contact. And Yale a free throw away from tying it back up.
Dom Camp was out of position trying to block the shot, and a great job by Lee to go with a little pump fake, get past her, go into the bigs and draw a foul. It's textbook from a guard.
Lee connects. Her 58% free throw shooter this year. That's where Yale has struggled. All knotted at 13. Burrows, who had the last 3 for the Orange. Now Woolley. Scoop shot. Bounced around on the rebound, and Burrows in a tie-up. Another jump ball. Possession for Yale.
That wasn't the greatest shot from Woolley, as you said. The scoop with her left hand as she's fading away. Sometimes she can get those to go in, but you usually want to get better looks.
It can be tough when you're just trying to take the lid off the basket. Woolley with 3 points. She's now 1 for 5 after the miss. Egger double teamed, and it works for the Orange. Up ahead for Woolley. She has to track it down, and the pass from Wood just too far. The Orange trying to push the pressure and run the break.
Coach Jack likes what she's seeing, though, telling the team to push up the floor again. This press is really helping out this defense.
They've caused those turnovers. Now the next step is getting points off those turnovers. Into the corner, and a travel. Sanaya Moore, the freshman, thought about driving to the hoop, and the mind was working a little bit quicker than the feet.
You press full court, that forces the other team to just work quick in totality. Because of that, even though you're not necessarily pressed in the corner, your mind is going so fast, and then you travel. You make a simple mistake like that.
The Orange making some changes. Olivia Schmidt into the game for Dominique Camp. Schmidt started the last 2 out of the lineup in favor of Velez today. Here's Woolley. Through the lane, another scoop layup, another miss. Burrows on the board, and she draws the foul.
And Burrows drew that foul, but those, again, layups that this team usually makes. But today, things just are not going Syracuse's way, so got to find another way to get things going, and making free throws is going to be key. This team struggled a little bit at the line earlier this season, so if you can make your free throws, then that can make up for some other parts of the game that aren't necessarily going the way that you expect.
First trip to the line today for Burrows. Can't connect on the first. Had 5 points on 1 of 6 shooting last time out against Creighton. 2 games ago, though, against Mizzou, still down in Destin, Florida. Put up 15 and 7 assists. That was a career high in assists. The Orange in that game had 3 players with 7 assists. Open 3 from Moore, rather long 2, but still 0 points regardless. Capstraw to Lee. Directing traffic. Can't shake Woolley on this screen. Down low, and it was tipped on her way to Wood. Burrows the other way. Down low to Wood, off her hands, and it's batted around. A foul called on Lee. Very aggressive defense from both sides. Georgia Woolley gets a break. Leading the team right now, rather, second on the team right now, 3 points for her. Schmidt to the corner. Burrows down low to Wood, and that play will work all day for Syracuse. The Orange with the height advantage. Back up to a 3-point lead. The Bulldogs today missing Grace Thibault, the tallest player on this roster at 6'3", the next tallest, standing at just 6 feet tall. The height advantage going to be big for the Orange. Chapman, 6 to shoot. Cuts through. Egger, mid-range won't go. Chapman, another offensive board. The tie-up comes in the arrow for Syracuse.
That's 6 offensive rebounds for Chapman in under 14 minutes of game action. I mean, this is absurd, the hustle that she has shown, and also a little bit of luck, which is the ball bouncing right to her. I mean, that's unbelievable to have 6 offensive rebounds already.
Seems like every shot is just coming to her. At just 5'9", leads the game in boards right now. Schmidt, Burrows in the corner. Too strong.
Good job by Olivia Schmidt, though, running the offense. She's super shifty, and that's a shot that Burrows will make a lot of the time, so that's a good look.
The Orange have had a rough game, still in the lead, though. The defense has been stepping up for Syracuse. Here's Moore, cuts through the lane, and the layup is good. Sanaya Moore really showing up in the lineup over the last few games. 15 points in her last 2. Had none in her first 5.
That was a great drive, too. A little fake pass to the outside to evade a defender, and then the drive in.
Hawkins was thinking of doing the same thing. Picks up the travel, though. Syracuse turnover-wise, it's been a rough start for the Orange so far. 10 turnovers. The full court press still on as Journey Thompson back into the game. Sanaya Moore strings it. Yale back in front.
You had to think eventually one of those was going to go in.
Hawkins the answer. She knocks it back up.
That's a great jumper from Shy Hawkins. It almost felt like she levitated in the air for a second. Jumped up and then just had so much room in the air, no one near her, and just easy to just put it in.
Another three-pointer hits the back rim for Chapman, but another offensive board for Yale. And another travel on Sanaya Moore. History repeating itself so far, and the history of the last few matchups is continuing. Syracuse and Yale tied at 18 apiece in the second quarter. We'll be back in just a moment on the ACC Network Extra.
Guys?
Well, thank you so much, guys. This game has been a back-and-forth battle. Both teams, though, struggling from the field. A lot of rebounds to clean up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 25% from the field for Yale, 32% from Syracuse. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that those numbers are that high because, especially early on, no one could buy a bucket.
Syracuse went over 6.5 minutes without a score. The Orange have worked their way back to even, thanks in part to Sophie Burrows. Outside to Schmidt. Varejao on the low block, and the Orange back in front.
Olivia Schmidt has really impressed me throughout this entire season, and especially today. She's done a great job of being very quick and then finding the pass. She's very direct in what she wants to do, and that really helps out the Syracuse team a lot that sometimes struggles with having meaning behind what it's doing.
Schmidt had 7 assists against Mizzou 2 games ago in her first collegiate start. Egger on the step back into the hands of Varejao. Here is Schmidt, the freshman, up ahead, and another outlet pass that does not work for Syracuse. A couple weeks ago, Coach Jack did talk about how she doesn't mind the turnovers on those long outlet passes, just trying whatever she can to get going. It's the short-range turnovers that really bother her.
That one wasn't on the pass, though. That ball went right into the hands of Shy Hawkins. That was one that she probably should have brought in. Good look from Olivia Schmidt.
Hawkins subs out. Georgia Woolley back on. It's Lee. Give and go. Lee in the paint. Tough layup. No good. The board from Thompson. Burrows up ahead. And a foul called down low. Marissa Chapman just a little bit too aggressive. Varejao had the size mismatch down low, and there's really not much you can do there.
Yeah, there's about a 7-inch difference between Chapman and Varejao, so she's going to have to get more physical to try and guard a player that much taller, and that time it just didn't work.
So 2 shots from Varejao upcoming. Varejao in the last game, a season low in minutes against Creighton. Just 12 played. In those 12 minutes, though, very efficient as she usually is. 8 points, 2 rebounds for the grad student. Niece of Anderson Varejao. Board taken in. Anderson Varejao, Adam, by the way, not an NBA champion, has lost in the finals on the Warriors and the Cavs. And just wrong place, wrong time for both. Chapman's 2, way off, and another offensive rebound. That's 7 for the 5'9" Marissa Chapman on the offensive glass.
I mean, that's just incredible. The hustle that she has shown in this game is something that I think Felicia Leggett-Jack is going to show to her team over and over again and say, hey, if you hustle all out, you can get these rebounds.
The only way to beat it would just be with more hustle. Long inbound for Egger. Thought about that 3. 9 on the clock for Moore through the lane. Knocked away. Burrows and Varejao there, and the Orange can run the break. Olivia Schmidt slowing it down. Woolley to Varejao. Size mismatch, spin move, and the fancy footwork. Izabel Varejao. Oh, so smooth.
Great job by Varejao. One move and go. Sometimes this season she tries to do a little bit too much. That time perfect. Saw what she had the opportunity and went for it.
Converting at the rim, Syracuse. A 5-point lead as Chapman hits the deck and a blocking foul call. That'll go against Georgia Woolley. Rather Burrows, both in the same vicinity there. Some substitutions being made for Yale. Chapman and Lesman come out. Magdalena Schmidt, the freshman, in, along with Kylie Capstraw. Lee to inbound. Off the fingertips of Moore and just barely saves it. Kira Scott also in for the Orange. She hasn't seen much action today in comparison to her last couple games. Outside, comes over to us at the scorer's table. Just got another missed pass. I know, that was well within your reach. Think you could hit a 3 from where we are?
Oh, probably not.
I can't hit a 3 from anywhere but
yeah, no, me neither.
It's a pretty fair claim.
I'm a hustle player. I dive in and get the rebounds. I can't shoot.
Long arms, I like the offensive glass. Foul called away from the ball. Whistle goes against Yale. And a second foul today for Mackenzie Egger. She has to stay out of foul trouble. Fouled out last time against Bryant. She's been the catalyst of this team. 3 straight games with 21+ points. It sends Varejao to the line.
I wouldn't be shocked if Syracuse really attacks her towards the end of this half and in the second half. There's that size advantage. So go inside anyways. And if you can get Egger into foul trouble, then things really fall apart for this Yale team because she's everything for the squad scoring.
There really has been no answer outside of Egger so far this season, at least on a consistent basis. Varejao connects from the line. Outside Egger a three. It's the front rim and another offensive board. Right place, right time. An easier two-pointer, and it rattles home. If at first you don't succeed, go a couple feet inside the line, try again.
Yeah, then she was left wide open. Coach Jack just yelled at Kira Scott saying, "That's on you."
Bump on the offensive end, no call. Offensive board, Thompson. Third chance put back, and it's Varejao to convert. That 6'4" frame is giving the Bulldogs problems. Capstraw just too quick. And into the hands of Thompson, another Yale turnover. Schmidt slowing it down. Down low, Varejao again, and fouled on her way to the cup. Avery Lee with the contact. It was a perfect hedge by Varejao. Again, there's really not much you can do to stop her from getting into the paint. A lot of expected foul trouble today from Yale.
Yeah, now these free throws are going to be key. Made the last ones.
Quiet hush over the dome for the first one, and she strings it. The Orange have struggled from the line so far this year. 319th in the country of 355 teams. Varejao's second rattles in. 5 for 6 from the line today for Varejao. An impressive start for the grad student. That Syracuse lead now up to 9. Schmidt straight away from 3. Way off, and Thompson the board. Schmidt in transition. Through the lane, Woolley. Underhand lay. Ooh. A tough angle in the Orange. The biggest lead of the day. A double-digit lead for the first time. Outside, Egger tries to cut into it. No good, and Scott the board. The Orange can hold for the last shot. 17 on the clock for Syracuse. Schmidt has been directing traffic the entire back half of this quarter. Thompson down low and rolls it in. 2 on the clock. Lee has to heave from half court. It's the shot clock behind the backboard. And Syracuse on a run to end this half. 17-2 sweep of Yale in three-point percentage. Ailey Weiss has more on that. Ailey?
Coach Esche told me that their biggest focus coming into the second half is just to contain them down low with such a big size difference. She said they've been doing everything that they should be in pounding the ball down low with such a dramatic size difference. So she is a little bit worried about fouls, especially late in the game, but she says that they need to just keep their arms up, no stupid fouls, and continue to play their game.
No stupid fouls is exactly right. They'll struggle down low in that paint. They pick up a foul on Georgia Woolley as Yale restarts things. There's Coach Dalila Esche, former WNBA player drafted in 2006 by the Seattle Storm. Came over here to Yale from Princeton. Lee through the lane. Board tipped around, and another offensive rebound. Moore along 2. Can't connect. Another offensive board, but a foul called first away from the play. A push on Kylie Capstra. So Velez takes it back up the court. The Orange faithful still on their feet until the first SU bucket of the half. Woolley can't give it to him. Chapman, another rebound. We talked about it in the first half. 6 offensive rebounds for Chapman. Now 8 total, including that one. Whistle on the floor and a foul call. Egger could not get by.
But a good job by Egger to force that foul. I think there's a lot of focus right now for Syracuse on not letting the opposing players get past them. You want to let them shoot, don't let them get past. So a lot of fouls trying to keep them in front.
Goes back the other way. A travel on Egger, trying to do the same thing, blowing by her defender. Seemed a little bit surprised by that travel and turnover. Shy Hawkins checking in for Sophie Burrows after Burrows picked up a foul on the defensive end of the floor. SU has stayed out of foul trouble so far today. Velez is off balance. Pass kept in despite the miscommunication to Orange to it. Woolley guarded tightly. Scott on the low block. Spinning and connecting. Kira Scott. The first made basket of the game for Scott. She had 11 last time out against Creighton. That led all scores, making her first collegiate start today. Capstraw keeps it, bounce pass, Chapman under the hoop. Up and under, and rims out. Egger crashes the glass, and she's fouled on her way to the rim. Count it, and the foul. Mackenzie Egger doing damage down low.
Looks like they actually might have said that that was on the floor, but still, I mean, just the hustle there from Egger to leap in, get that rebound. That's what we've seen this entire game from Yale on the offensive glass, just going all out, and it's working.
Egger disappointed with that one. She thought she had the and one, blocked on the way by Scott, and the Orange run the break. It's Velez ahead, through the lane. Fouled on the shot. She'll go to the line to shoot two.
Good job offensively by Velez there to just be aggressive and go in. Yale has a lot of foul trouble right now. That was the third from Egger. Chapman has 2. Capstraw has 2, so just continue to go inside and draw those fouls because this is not a deep Yale team.
Discussion from the referees right now. Dalila Eshi wants to know what's going on, and looks like we'll have a review upcoming. So Syracuse, the only points in the first couple of seconds here in the third quarter. Back in just a moment. Into the JMA Wireless Dome, Syracuse still in front 35-20. Adam Gotkin to my right. I'm Hudson Ridley. Just coming back from an official review on who picked up that foul on Angelica Velez. The foul being charged against Mackenzie Egger, her 4th as she checks out. She fouled out last game against Bryant, and now Yale has to go to the bench, a bottom 30 team in bench points in the nation this year. And this will be tough. You can see the emotion for Mackenzie Egger there.
Yeah, she went out onto the floor to try and get an explanation from the official of what exactly she did wrong. And that's really going to hurt this team. As you said, one of the worst bench teams in the country. They really are a team that relies on the starters. So with your best player now out, everyone else has to step up, and this Yale offense has really, really struggled ever since the first quarter.
That 8 points that you saw, those are the most of any Yale player. So the Bulldogs have to find a replacement if they want to keep this thing close down the stretch. Velez hitting both from the line. Picks up Chapman as it crosses the half line. Lee, a three-pointer. Cash. Avery Lee. Her second three-pointer of the day. Ailey Weiss earlier, she spoke a little bit to Dalila Esh. Ailey, you have more?
Yeah, during that timeout or that official review, she's telling her team not to help when Syracuse gets in the lane because of that foul trouble. And now Eggers is at 4. And she told me there's not really any other height on the bench for her to put in the game.
There's not a whole lot that she can do. Thank you for that, Ailey. Mackenzie Egger, 6 feet tall. Lola Lesmond, the only other 6-footer. Ava Guillen listed at 6 foot as well. We have yet to see her today. Woolley underhand and fouled on her way to the hoop. The foul trouble continues to mount for Yale, Adam.
So Ailey just said they're going to try and not help on defense. You could see Chapman was just a little bit hesitant to help, and then Moore just gets blown past, and she really has no choice but to foul to try and avoid the bucket. And this is going to be really tough for Yale in the second half if they're not going to be able to help defense. I mean, that's how you usually combat a size advantage, as a double.
The first action of Anna Guillen that she's seeing today, the 6-footer. They're just trying to bring in bodies in relief of the height that they're missing. Again, out there, tallest player today, Grace Thibault, cousin of Portland Trailblazer Matisse Thibault. Stands at 6'3". Everybody else 6 foot or under. This is where Syracuse has thrived against mid-majors this year, has been in that height advantage category. That's at least when they hold them off the board from 3, and a travel in the backcourt from Kylie Capstraw.
Syracuse dominated Fairleigh Dickinson in the paint. That was the last win against a non-Power 4 team. And we're already seeing that to be the case again today. There's such a massive size advantage with everyone, not just the bigs, but the wings and the guards as well.
And they try to exploit it right away on the pass from Velez, but out of bounds. Shy Hawkins with the foot on that end line. So Yale catches a break. Hawkins had positioning inside. Avery Lee to take it up the court. Here's Capstraw. Now really the captain on this team without Egger. Chapman up top. Floater, and she's fouled. Shy Hawkins got a hand in there. And that closeout just a little too strong.
You can see how much help defense helps, because it just slows down Chapman. And yes, you pick up a foul, but at the same time, this Yale team has really struggled shooting from the line. They're the bottom 25 team in the country in free throw shooting. So, I mean, if you give up a couple fouls, I think that's okay.
First bucket of the day for Chapman. She's been great on the glass with those 6 offensive boards, 8 in total, but from the floor, not her day. 0 for 7. Her second. Rims out. Wood with the rebound. Back-to-back games with Chapman where has struggled shooting. Went 1 for 10 last time against Bryant. Velez down low. Thompson the size mismatch, and it rolls in. It is just too easy for the Orange down low right now. Wood nearly jumped the passing lane. Capstraw an answer from 3, and it's rebounded by Woolley. Velez on the break ahead. Has Scott, but fouled before she can get there.
The Orange are pretty lucky there that 3 was off the mark, because those are the exact plays where this team has really struggled this season. Kyra Wood tries to jump and pass, it then creates chaos behind and an open shot, but Yale just can't make them.
Yale came into today 308th in the country in three-point shooting. Woolley from way downtown, and it hits the front rim. Fouled on the rebound was Avery Lee. The Orange still playing very aggressive defense and boxing out hard, despite the lead.
They have to. I mean, this season there's not been enough to show that this team can consistently do that, so you got to do it in a game where you're up by a lot, because come next time out against Texas A&M, you got to play like this, so you got to fight right now.
Keeping their foot on the pedal, very important for the Orange as Lee misses her first. You see Dalila Eshe there. The 3rd year of Eshe with this Yale program, just trying to get them off the ground. They've had a tough last 3 years. 8 and 19 last year, 13 and 14 the year before. There's Scott from mid-range. Lee, a hard-fought rebound. Capstraw ahead. Yale has to start shooting the 3 ball just moderately well to get back into this game. Lee, an attempt from downtown. It bricks.
It's a good look, though. Lee had room a little bit deep, but again, she had space, and that's one that you want her to make.
Good amount of room. A good Syracuse closeout, though. That's what head coach Felicia Liggett-Jack is looking for. Woolley and 1. A tough bucket. The scoop layup from down under. And she'll head to the line to try to add on another.
That's one of the things that Woolley can do so well, the scoops or the kind of crazy arm angles with the shot. She always somehow knows where the rim is, even if her body is flying all over the place.
So to convert the and one for Woolley, she's up to double digits. SU, its largest lead of the game at 19. Yale really in desperation mode now. It was such a good start for the Bulldogs, leading after 1 quarter of play. Since then, it's been all orange. Yale has scored just 15 points since a 10-point first quarter. Chapman rolls it in and one. She's been tough down low all day on both ends of the floor. And this just adds to a good day for the freshman.
A good job there to elevate above the defense, right in front of the free throw line. That's where you want to get. That's the spot that you're fighting for when you're driving in. Good job to just elevate. Now she's got to knock down this free throw.
Went 1 for 2 in her last trip to the line. And nets it. That Syracuse lead chipped away into on the and one. Thompson to get it right back. Offensive rebound, put back, a foul on the floor.
I mean, there's just nothing that Sanaya Moore can do about that. She's got 5 inches on her from Journey Thompson, who's just so much bigger.
Her third personal. It's going to send Journey Thompson to the line for 2 shots.
Journey Thompson at the line to shoot 2. She's gotten some high praise in the last week. Our Ailey Weiss has more.
Jack told us that her and Raquel McNabb, who played for Leggett Jack when she was an assistant coach here in the 90s, had a conversation and said Journey is a mini Felicia Leggett. She's tough, she makes those open shots, and she doesn't care about credit. She just flies around the court. And Coach Jack's response, I was lucky to get her from Arizona State.
Lucky indeed, as a little bit of something to clean up on the floor. So we take a quick break here. Journey Thompson, those 4 points today, 2 of 6 shooting, but she's really been impressive on the glass. Those 6 boards right now are really helping Syracuse, especially on the offensive end. You saw her get her own miss there.
Yeah, it's the hustle. It's the hustle that Coach Jack preaches time and time again, and that's what Journey Thompson really brings to this team. She has the size, and she's done a good job of bringing some calmness as well when the team has needed it, especially against Missouri down in Destin. She did a great job of calming things down and just being a consistent player that Coach Jack can rely on.
She went 7 of 10 in that Missouri game, 14 points. That's the highest point total she's had in her time at SU. Both teams being waved back onto the floor as the JMA Wireless Dome court has finally been mopped up. Thompson to the line to shoot 2.
2 shots for Journey Thompson.
Next on that first one. Last time out, 4 points, 3 rebounds against Creighton. A transfer from Arizona State. And she goes 2 for 2 from the stripe.
Syracuse 46, Yale 28.
The Orange re-extending that lead. But like we mentioned, not yet playing in cruise control. They want to fight this whole game, and you can see it, the aggressive defense from Camp guarding Lee. Ian hands off Capstra. On the way down low, and it was kicked by Varejao on the way to the paint. Syracuse on top big, 46-28 as we take a timeout. Be back in just a moment. That it is called dressing and not stuffing. Foul called on Lee in transition. Camp would have had an open lane to the basket. I have a bit of an interesting one. My family makes this recipe that I guess my great-grandmother picked up in the 1930s for cranberry sherbet. Not cranberry sauce, but, you know, sherbet ice cream kind of thing. And you have it during dinner.
So not like with the desserts, you have it.
Yes, you have it with dinner. It's very interesting.
That sounds like something you'd have at like a 5-star restaurant where they bring, like, I feel like I've watched on like a YouTube before, they bring like a sherbet as a palate cleanser.
Exactly. A big course meal.
I love it.
It works pretty well. Camp 2 for 2 from the line, and the Orange lead up to 20 for the first time today. Yale just looking for answers at him.
Yeah, offensively, they just haven't been able to get anything going, and with Mackenzie Egger in foul trouble with 4 on the bench, it's not going to be easy to figure anything out.
Offensive foul called. Varejao draws the charge. Nothing going right for Yale on that offensive end, especially not for Kylie Chapman.
Varejao's never afraid to put her body on the line and draw a charge. It's something you wouldn't necessarily expect from a player who's 6'4", but she'll do it all.
It's a long way to the ground if you take a charge, but shows the heart that she plays with, that kind of toughness that head coach Jack is really looking for. Camp down inbound underneath the basket. Tipped away by Guillen and right back into the hands of Camp. Woolley has that isolation she wants. One-on-one, step back, ankle breaker, and it's in. Shook Sanaya Moore to the ground.
Woolley's really starting to find her groove now. She really just couldn't buy a bucket in the first half, but she's getting her acrobatic shots to go, and then those jumpers, which she usually can find the bottom of the net in.
It really follows right after another 3-point miss from Yale. Now just 2 for 17.
That one touched every inch of the rim and didn't even go in.
It's just not the day for the Bulldogs after that first quarter. Woolley in the lane. Offensive board, Varejao. The kick out to Camp. She's got a lane, and it's off the foot of Guillen before it trickles out of bounds.
Thought for a second that Camp was going to let that 3 fly. She's been kind of shockingly good from beyond the arc this season. 6 for 11. Not necessarily expected to be a lockdown 3-point shooter, so I would have expected her to take that shot.
You would think. Leads the team in 3-point percentage at 55%. Schmidt with 16 on the shot clock. The Orange with a double point guard look, Schmidt and Camp. Step back 3, Olivia Schmidt. Into the hands of Camp on the offensive glass. Woolley the short 2 and strings it.
2 points for Georgia Woolley, the assistant Dominique Camp.
Georgia Woolley continues to add to her day. 14 points for the Australian. That leads the way.
I think Felicia Leggett-Jack has to be really happy with that last offensive possession. The multiple offensive rebounds.
It's the one thing they didn't do in that first quarter, and they've cleaned off the defensive glass too. Sanaya Wilson getting some meaningful minutes here. Woolley again, but before she can get the shot off, foul on the ground by Magdalena Schmidt, the freshman from Austria, part of Austria's 3v3 U21 and U23 teams. Also a noted gymnast, won some Austrian gymnast championships. A whole lot on her in the Yale information section.
The Yale information sections in general are just unbelievable. The other thing about Schmidt, she's been to 39 different countries and 4 continents.
That's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
Her dad, they said, in the Rotary Club, so she hosted some exchange students from Argentina. A lot of interesting stuff out there in Austria as Woolley nets the first.
Did you watch any of the 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics this past summer?
I did. The United States underperformed a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting form of basketball. It's not what I thought 3-on-3 would be. It really helps with quick ball movement, especially because you don't check the ball up ever. They just go after a bucket.
Exactly. Big guards incredibly important in that role as Schmidt takes it up the court and works on Wilson. Chapman straight away. She started to heat up in the second half. Blocked by Burrows. The offensive glass cleaned by Guillen, and the putback is good. One of a couple of foreign-born players on this Yale team. We mentioned Schmidt just a moment ago. Guillen from Spain. Played for FC Barcelona while there. Off the foot of and out of bounds of Lucy Lin. Now Yale really starting to empty its bench. Every available member of this Yale team has played so far today. Varejao backing down Guillen, and a travel right before. She had the size mismatch, but the feet just moving too quickly at him.
Yeah, she just tried to do a little bit too much there. Yeah, that's the issue that we see sometimes with Varejao. She's been really good today, though. kind of avoiding that and making one move and going to the hoop like Coach Jack tells her to.
Varejao with 11 points today. Hustles after the loose ball and grabs another board.
He's done a great job hustling on both ends, forcing the offensive rebounds, and that's a good defensive one. Not an easy rebound.
Has her up to a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Burrows on the offensive end, fouled underneath by Guillen. And these fouls continue to pile up. Abigail Long checks in for Schmidt. Burrows to the line to shoot 2. Still plenty of time on this clock for Syracuse to figure out different looks against this Yale team. We spoke to Coach Jack earlier today about what she liked in that Creighton game. She said she went with a lot of different lineups later on, and the lineup with Velez and a couple of freshmen late in the game was the best defensive lineup she's seen, and so testing out these lineups before conference play, incredibly important. Burrows going 1 for 2 from the stripe.
I think that strong performance from the very young lineup at the end of that Creighton game kind of sent a message to the rest of the roster that if they can play the way that Coach Jack tells them to, with a lot of hustle and really trying to push the pace and defensively making sure that you're in the right spot, then they can have a lot of success.
They're pushing the pace on the offensive glass here, and Varejao will head to the line to shoot 2 again. Credit to Burrows for starting that break, just couldn't hit the layup.
Another good job by Varejao crashing in and getting the offensive board. And as we've been saying pretty much all game, there's just too much size down low for Yale to handle.
Varejao today 5 of 6 from the line. The announcer's jinx strikes again. Syracuse, though, with its largest lead of the day at 25 points. It's the second in a quiet dome and gets some applause from the crowd. Good-sized crowd on hand here today. A Sunday matinee. The third ever meeting between Syracuse and Yale. It's off the knee of Guillen and out of bounds, and the Orange will take it. That last game, an awfully close one between the Bulldogs and Orange. Syracuse ended up escaping narrowly, 60-58. Had to make a fourth quarter comeback win in the first year of Felicia Leggett-Jack's tenure. Camp, off balance shot, and oh boy, tough angle. Did not matter. Camp part of that 3-guard rotation that's rotating a lot today. Still out there in that 2-point guard look with Olivia Schmidt. Outside, Lynn, couple steps inside the arc and converts. Yale just needed to lift the cover off the basket. It had been a tough stretch for the Bulldogs there. The Orange will hold for the last shot with Camp. Behind the back feed. Shania Wilson hits. A no-look feed from Dominique Camp. Last shot from Yale. They won't even get it off. And everything going the Orange way. It's been all Syracuse
from 3, but the way that she sees the court, she's a shifty guard who gets in the lane efficiently, and not only does she have the ability to finish, but her specialty is that last-minute dish under the hoop to a teammate for an easy layup.
Odom getting some of her first action today, guarding Camp. A pretty tough task to guard the shifty guard, but nothing happens on that offensive possession for Syracuse, so Odom doing her job. Shot 43% from 3 in high school. One of the many players on this Yale team that's involved in community service efforts. For her specifically, it's raising awareness for type 1 diabetes. Corner 3, off the mark. Not another offensive board for Yale. Wilson runs the break with Long in transition. And her layup off the glass and in makes it a 30-point Syracuse lead.
Finally, that long outlet pass worked. Syracuse has had a lot of issues connecting on them so far today, but not that time.
The Orange starting to dominate. Egger, who's back in the game with 4 fouls, not much to lose right now for the senior. Long, a deep 3. No rim, but Guillen the offensive board. And the putback is good.
We'll just say that was a pass, right?
Yeah, might as well. If that counts, it would be Abigail Long's first collegiate assist. So there could be a silver lining to anything. Schmidt through the lane. That off-balance shot no good, but doing what Yale did all day, grabbing the offensive board. The tie-up, though.
And there it is. That's the hustle. That's the hustle that Syracuse has been looking for all season, especially today. Yes, it ends up in a jump ball in Yale possession, but that hustle to get the offensive rebound, to get that jump ball, is all that Coach Jack is looking for.
Exactly. With the lead Syracuse has right now, just about closing out this game and keeping your foot on the gas while you do so. Bounce pass just past Oda. She had a chance. She could corral it at those first points in the dome for the Syracuse native. Down low, Wilson feasting on the offensive end. Anna Guillen just cannot keep up with the senior.
That was just an excellent play overall. First off, the great pass from Dom Camp, but then Sanaya Wilson leveraging her body to make sure that she has all the room behind her is just excellent.
Egger guarded by McNabb, her first action today. Odom from 3, can't hit. Rebound taken in by McNabb. Big day for the McNabb name yesterday. Syracuse football picking up a big win as Wilson back-to-back buckets on the offensive end.
Taco time! You've got 48 hours to visit a participating Taco Bell location. Claim a free crunchy beef taco and use the keyword taco time.
Egger straight away. Just a tricky time for Yale figuring out how to get the lid off this basket. Adam really makes you wonder, what do they go to at this point? Only 5 seconds on the clock to shoot. Odom has to pull, hands off instead, and the clock runs out on Chapman. Just possession after possession for Yale. That has not gone their way.
Just great Syracuse defense. You got to give this SU squad all the credit in the world for turning things around and playing the way that Coach Jack wants them to play, because they've been really impressive ever since really the first quarter.
More substitutions for Syracuse. First action today for Maddie Potts, the freshman from Australia. McNabb takes the ball up the court. Had 3 points against Mizzou, her first 3 points of the season. Getting worked in more today. A travel on Hawkins. She's continued to struggle on those offensive end turnovers.
McNabb played big minutes in that Missouri game. She really is the leader of this team. She's the heartbeat of this squad off the court. Felicia Leggett-Jack has said time and time again that she is a future coach. She could already be a coach. There's a lot of times where Lexi McNabb will say, hey, let's do this instead of something else that they're already doing, and it usually ends up working out.
You need a glue player on the team and a glue player who can pass like that. What a feed from McNabb. Schmidt doesn't pull the trigger, and instead her pass results in a turnover. Egger running the break. Odom ahead along 2. Swish. And her family rises to their feet. The loudest the Yale crowd has gotten all day, and it's for Kiera Odom's first bucket. Breaks a tough stretch for her. Was 1 for 14 over her last 2 games coming into today. Travel on the offensive end from Potts. We take another look at that long mid-range from Odom.
Just such an excellent moment for her family. We mentioned this earlier, but a first-generation college student to be at Yale of all schools, an incredible Ivy League institution, and to score a bucket in the Dome, which is such an iconic venue here in Syracuse.
And really just a great day for her and Yale. With that bucket from Abigail Long, starting to get a little something going on the offensive end. Playing against one of Syracuse's lesser experienced lineups. 4 freshmen out there with McNabb. Hawkins creating her own shot. Still nothing going. 5 on the floor for the Orange. McNabb, Schmidt, Hawkins, Scott, and Potts. Down low, layup is good from Egger. And it might be garbage time for Yale, but starting to work on the offensive glass.
That was a great drive to the hoop from Egger. We saw her do it a little bit in the first half. The foul trouble just took her out of the game.
Tough play down low. Zanaya Moore couldn't get to the spot, and it's a blocking foul. Syracuse still well in control of 66-41, but Yale trying to make it interesting late. Back in just a moment. Welcome back inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Syracuse well in control, 66-41. And a look at their upcoming schedule. Texas A&M next on the docket, coming up on Wednesday before ACC play begins with Notre Dame. That's a pretty interesting back-to-back there, Adam.
Yeah, Texas A&M is a squad that struggled this year. Just 4-4 losses to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, as well as Ball State. And Syracuse has had a lot of success recently against the ACC. They beat Alabama last year in the ACC SEC Challenge, and of course beat Missouri last week.
That win over Missouri, 23-point win, their biggest over an SEC team in program history, and the biggest of the FLJ era. Egger through the lane, and the layup is good. Yale on a 9-0 run. So finally the Bulldogs starting to get a little bit of offensive momentum, but it comes against a younger, less experienced Syracuse squad. Hawkins off balance, cannot take the lid off the basket. Hawkins today, now just 1 of 5. Outside, long a three-pointer. Couldn't get it to go. Rebound taken in. The Orange have done a good job rebounding today. 3 on the break, no good. That includes Izabel Varejao picking up a double-double. The first of her career, believe it or not. Velez in transition picks off the pass. The Orange still with that intensity. Up ahead to Potts, but she won't try again. Velez setting up the offense. The Orange have been scoreless for the last 3 minutes. Down low, and that breaks it. Velez with the nice find on the hedge from Hawkins. And the Orange break the 9-0 Yale run.
This SU team down low has done a great job of feeling the space. Hawkins did it there, had a lot of room in front of her. She keeps the defender on her back.
Tough 3 from long, no good. The closeout for Velez, who's been everywhere. The LSU transfer playing well today, and Hawkins back-to-back buckets. Finally starting to fall for the freshman.
We're starting to see why Shy Hawkins was a top 75 recruit in the country. That was a great drive. She showed her length. Good job of getting to the bucket. Takes the 2 steps through the entire defense. That's what you want to see.
Substitutions to make as Potts checks out. Georgia Woolley being put back in this game. The Orange on top by 27. Just 2:44 to go.
My guess is that would be to get the offense going more after those 3 scoreless minutes. You know, the Syracuse team was up by 30 a moment ago. Lead almost went down to 20. So they want to get it back up to 30 and have a big margin of victory here. You know, yes, this game is in garbage time, but these are still important minutes.
Corner 3 connects from Abigail Long. The freshman from Kansas. The answer from Woolley, no good. He's got a team-high 16. Schmidt back the other way. Struggling in the backcourt with that defense and turns it over on the travel. Not the best possession there from Magdalena Schmidt.
Good pressure, though, from Shy Hawkins. The second that she saw there was a bobble, went and attacked and forced the travel.
Adam, you mentioned the margin of victory today, important for Syracuse, especially after that loss to UAlbany. You want to put your stamp on these mid-majors. Kira Scott, the underhand layup. Egger loses the handle, and the Orange defense working well. Hawkins up ahead to the rim, and the layup is good in transition. Lead back up to 28. Pedal to the metal for the Orange. It does not stop with this big lead. If you're Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack, you have to be very happy with what you saw today, Adam.
Oh, without a doubt. A lot of the issues that we saw with this team earlier in the year starting to get fixed today, it feels like, especially in the final 3 quarters. The first was not good, but that was more offensively. They just couldn't buy a bucket.
Since then, the Orange have exploded on the offensive end. Georgia Woolley back out after the offense has jump started. Maddie Potts back in. Again, the Orange only 9 points in that first quarter, their lowest scoring quarter of the year, tied with the Creighton game. So back-to-back slow starts for Syracuse, but the offense really exploding. Hawkins again, but this time won't go. Long ahead, 2-on-1, pulls for 3 and won't get the rim. Abigail Long, you can see her turning around and wincing a little bit.
Worth a try, though. She's already made a couple long balls in this quarter, so you might as well try and see if you can get another one.
There's no hurt there. Abigail Long ranked the #1 shooting guard in Kansas. Pretty highly rated recruit. As Velez gets fouled, she'll go to the stripe. And that's the last foul for Mackenzie Egger, so she held on to 4 fouls for a long time. But for back-to-back games, Mackenzie Egger hits the bench just a little bit earlier, and head coach Dalila Eshe would have won.
Yeah, but as you said, impressive that she was able to stay in this game so long after picking up 4 fouls really early on. But if you're Yale, you got to make sure that you keep her in for the entirety of games, especially once you get into Ivy League play. You can't afford to have your best player on the bench, especially when your bench has struggled this year.
Velez from the line to shoot 2. Adam, she got her second start today, really finding her role on this team. Didn't get a lot of playing time last year at LSU. Had to play behind Flau'jae Johnson and Haley Van Lith, 2 of the best players in the country. So now she's really starting to break out for Syracuse, putting the lead back up to 28 in the waning minute of this ball game. A big step forward for Syracuse to get back on the right foot as Guillen converts. The worst loss of the Felicia Leggett-Jack era last time out against Creighton. All the more important to really take it to Yale today. One last offensive possession for Syracuse, and Shai Hawkins turning on the Jets late in this one. 11 points from the freshman. Odom underneath to Guillen, loses the handle, and the Orange will hold on to it. Syracuse, a big bounce-back game in the Dome. Boat races Yale. The Orange 78, the Bulldogs 50. Adam, this was a